everybody, my name is Tanya and today we're going to talk about Busted Out of Carolina. So Busted Out of Carolina was my February pick for the Booktube Recommends Project, and this was one that was recommended to me by Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings. Links to her will be down in the description. So I really don't think anything that I'm going to be able to say here is going to do any justice to this book. It's been a little while since I finished it and I'm just reeling, trying to put together my thoughts and to be able to say anything coherent about it because it's just so powerful. Now that was the word that I used to describe it in my February wrap up, and it still stands as I think the most apt description of this book is powerful. So this book is set in 1950s South Carolina and follows the character of Ruth Bone Boatwright. Bone was born when her mother Annie was only 15 and her father is unknown. Due to a car accident at the time of her birth, Annie's unconscious and unable to lie about Bone's illegitimacy, so she ends up with a birth certificate with a big illegitimate stamp down the bottom, which is a big sore point for Annie. A few years later, Annie meets and marries Lyle. They have a daughter together, but Lyle is unfortunately killed shortly after, and so she's there with two fatherless children and not a lot of money to get by. The main storyline in this is what happens when Glenn comes into their life. Now, Glenn is a rather no-hopeless son of a fairly wealthy family, and he decides he wants Annie. And so he offers Annie a new life, but the problem is he doesn't like Bone, and so this deals very much with the effect that Glenn has on their lives, but particularly on the life of Bone. And so there's tension, and it keeps building and building, and then the ending... and it's, oh my god. So the Boatwright family is quite large and there's quite a cast of quirky aunts and uncles and cousins throughout this. They're an interesting bunch, but there is a moment in particular with the uncles, and the uncles being there for Bone in a way that she needed at that time, and I was just cheering from the sidelines going, yes! I really enjoyed these characters of some of Bone's aunts who were there for her and were really wonderful. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but the character that frustrated me the most in this is Annie, Bone's mother. Some of the things that happen, I don't know how a mother can act that way. Put it that way. And there's a couple of things that I've read saying that this is like semi-autobiographical, which is horrible for Dorothy Allison and her childhood. But I think that shows through in that it feels just so real and so honest. The writing, it feels very raw and truthful and personal and sincere. Like, there's just that real sincerity to the writing. So on the day after I think that I finished this and was just reeling from this, somebody shared on Facebook an article about a stepfather who had in his wedding vows included vows to his 3-year-old stepdaughter and vows to her saying that, you know, he promises to love and look after her and to always tuck her in real tight and, you know, read her stories. And it coming after this, the timing was really interesting and it really affected me in that this is a story of a stepfather and a merged family just going so wrong, and then you see something like that and this example of how it can be and how that this can work, and that step families, you know, there can be that love and that trust and that wonderful family unit that comes from it. And I'll leave a link to the article down below, and there's a video in there, and I don't think it would have affected me quite as strongly at any other time, but coming immediately after finishing this, it kind of really hit home in the juxtaposition of something so horrible and something so wonderful. Now, after everything I've said, you may wonder why, but I loved this. This was just an absolute easy decision, 5-star read for me, just phenomenal. I think everybody should read it with caution, depending on your tolerance for certain things, but just I keep coming back to it's powerful. So this is something that I wasn't really aware of before Mercedes' recommendation. I don't think I'd really heard of it before, so I'm so glad that you recommended this one, because it might not have been something that I would have picked up, certainly not for years. I'd say without that recommendation and that's something that I'm really loving about this project. I've got a mix of things that I've been meaning to read for years, and I'm so pleased for the push to pick them up. But then there's also some things that I wouldn't have necessarily picked without this project, and this is one of them, and I'm so glad you've brought it to my attention, because this is something that's going to stick with me for a very long time to come. Will definitely be something that I revisit in the future, and is definitely something that I'd recommend for people to pick up. So if you've read this one, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it, and if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. And if you have any questions, please do let me know, or if you're thinking of reading it, I'd love to hear. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.